Hi guys, this is JP from FSiPanel. Welcome to this new video where I want to show you the new feature of Pilot's Waypoint on FSiPanel 2020. As you can see behind me, a little white beach. This is not reality. I'm on leave. Yes, I'm on holiday, but I'm back home in Switzerland and I had to put something in the background that looks like holiday. So I'm working on my laptop, so I'm sorry if the quality is not very good or if the sound is not good as well. I'm apologizing already for that. Today we are going to use the 777 and the brand new 777-200ER that I just received from PMDG. It's a beautiful airplane and she flies very well with FSiPanel 2020. So before we go into details, and for pilots it's gonna be an easy tutorial, and for people that are not too used to very far flying, you might have to take 2 or 3 aspirin to follow me and bear in mind with me on the explanation on how to create Pilot's Waypoint. So before we start, everything started because one guy on the forum said, I would like to train a specific approach. This is the post, as you can see here. Samos 09 approach in Greece. So I had a look at it, and this is the airport, Samos. As you can see here, it's a special approach. It's a VOR DME approach where you are coming on a complete offset. The runway is 09 and 27. So basically you are coming exactly there on a downwind, and you have terrain on both sides. So you have to do a visual circuit very close to the runway. So to train that, you need to create a pilot waypoint. Let's say you want to be in this area. To start our approach, we should come on the heading 358, and we are expecting to start our descent from 3,000 feet at 9 DME from Sierra Alpha Mike, which is the VOR over the airfield, and we can go down directly to our circling minima. For the 777, 2,500 is the minimum on the chart. So then once we are visual with the runway, we can do a visual approach and land there. So the questions from this user was, how do I create that waypoint? All right, so FSiPanel, I will start by putting here the airport, which is Samos City. We're gonna select runway 09, and now FSiPanel by default, you can fly downwind, right hand, left hand downwind, vector, short final. So if I put now short final on 09, what's gonna happen, I will be on the mountain here with a lot of chance that I get terrain, or even the simulator will crash, and this is not FSiPanel's fault, obviously. It's because we request a final calculated 3 degrees over terrain, so that's not gonna work. If I put myself on downwind, yes, FSiPanel will put us somewhere over here, and then we could complete our visual approach. Or another option that you have right now is to select a star, and maybe that will bring you to one of the points where you want to try a full arrival. So that means you will have to fly the whole arrival to finally this waypoint. So now what is new is that we can create a waypoint anywhere in the world based on an avid, a fix, and some radials. So let's have a quick look at what I mean by radials. Okay, so if you look now on the chart, IFR chart, you can see that waypoints like Digut, Kennet, and Nubri, they are on airways, and on that particular chart, everything is based on Kempton VOR. So if we look, for example, at Kennet, we can see that Kennet is on radial 281 from Kempton at a distance of 9 DME. So this is how we define the waypoint Kennet. If I look at Digut, based on Kempton VOR, we are on the radial. Okay, you see 162. So 162 is the heading inbound Kempton. So now if I'm asking you what is the radial out of Kempton, where Digut is located, this is the opposite of 162. So basically we are on radial 342 at 10 DME. Okay, so this is something very important to understand if you want to create specific waypoint and custom waypoint. So if we look at the radial, we can put basically this Arcus over any point that is in your FSiPanel database. And from there, we can create anything we want. So if we say that this point here, okay, is 5 nautical miles on the radial 360. This waypoint here will be 6 nautical miles, for example, on the radial 120. Now, if I want to fly inbound from that point to my VOR, I will need to set an heading inbound of 120 plus 180, which will be 300. This is where things will get a little bit complicated, and you might have to do 2 or 3 attempts to find the right position. But don't worry, it will work, and we will try together this point in Greece. So aircraft on radial 360, 5 miles, and the heading to the VOR will be 180, the opposite, while I'm right on the heading on the 360 radial, right? So once we have this, let's see how we can program this point based on Samos VOR. So now I will go to FSiPanel and I will select the new feature, which is select waypoint. I don't have any waypoint yet, so I will create a new waypoint. Now this is where things might look complicated, and this is why I do a video and where I'm telling you that you might need 1 or 2 aspirin or Panadol if you're not used to IFR flying. By default, what you see here, latitude, longitude, this is where your aircraft is located right now. So if you want to take a position, let's say you fly somewhere and you find this is a nice position to be positioned later, you can just take the actual aircraft position, and then what you will have here will be the exact position where you are. Now what we want to create is a waypoint based on Samos VOR. So I need to pick up Samos VOR, so I will go to pick navigate. I will say it's a VOR, and I will put the ident Sierra Alpha Mike. So we will do that here, Sierra Alpha Mike. Click on search, and we find Samos, which is distance to the airport 0. That's correct, that's what we want. So I select now Samos, and I click on select this waypoint. Now the coordinates that you have here are Samos. Now you can see that we have a radial and a distance. So now if I will use that point, I will be positioned right over at the airfield. This is not what I want, right? So now we need to get a radial and a distance. So let's have a look again at the chart. Okay, this is right now where we are. So we want to be positioned on a radial and a distance. So this is where things can become a little bit complicated. What is the radial? It is not 358. 358 is the inbound heading to the VOR. So the radial, as you can see, we are pointing toward the south. So it will be 358 minus 180 or plus 180, whatever you want to do. So it's the opposite. One nice way to do it is you subtract 2, you add 2, or the opposite. So here 3 minus 2, 1, 5 plus 2, 7, 178 is my radial. So 178 is my radial. So I will select the radial 178. Now we have the radial. What about the distance? So if I look at this, we can, if we remember right, we want 9 DME. So I will put 9 DME in FSiPanel. So I have my radial. Now I have my distance. So now what I need to do is compute the new coordinate. And now these coordinates that you have here are bringing us exactly right there. So now what FSiPanel needs to know, guys? What altitude you want to be by default on this waypoint, and what heading you want me to set the aircraft. The aircraft might be pointing to west, east, north, south at 3, 4, 5,000 feet. So now if we want to do this approach, the best thing to do is heading 358, right? So my aircraft will be right there with the heading already pointing toward the airport, and the altitude 3,000 feet. So that's what I will do now. So I will say my default altitude 3,000, and my default heading we're gonna put 358. And voila, like we said in French. Now I have everything programmed. I can give a point. So I will use SAM01, for example. These 2 fields are mandatory. And the descriptions, here I will put SAM radial 178, 9 nautical miles. So now I know exactly, if I read that, I know where I'm going to be. I'm going to be on the SAM radial 178 at 9 DME. And I can save the waypoint. Waypoint created successfully. Okay, my waypoint is right there in my in the FSiPanel now. So now how to use this waypoint. Click on it, and now you get exactly the same information as you will get in a star. Basically, what you want. You want an heading 358 over your waypoint, an altitude of 3000. Yes, that's what we want. What about the offset? Okay, what about the offset? If I don't put an offset, I'll be right over the waypoint here. Maybe I would like to have like 2 miles or 3 miles to get ready. So then I can program my FMC for the approach. So let's say 3 miles. I want to be right there, 3 miles. So what I will do, I will click on the value. Any value you want to change, you just click on it. I'll go 3 miles. Okay. And now I could validate. Another nice thing here, you see that little button here. I take the opportunity to explain you. This button is, of course, to delay the waypoint. And this one here is to export this waypoint. So if you want to export your waypoint to your friends' community, put it on the forum for someone to try the approach. You just click on it. And then you can basically decide where to save your waypoint. It's going to be a FSP file. So I will, for example, put SAM09 test, save, and now that waypoint is saved successfully. To import the waypoint, you do the same way as you will do with a snapshot. You just drag and drop the file over the main runway of FSiPanel on the main screen, and that will be imported into the FSiPanel. Okay, we are ready, so I'll click validate. So now, as you can see, we have a pilot waypoint SAM01 at 3000 feet. The aircraft will be clean, that's fine for me. We're gonna land flaps 30 on the FMC. All good, I'm ready to click on move aircraft. So when I click on move aircraft, I might get a warning that my 777 is too heavy. Fine, so I will just change the weight of the 777 to the default value. So I will be careful if you try this. It's a short runway, very tricky approach. So I suggest that you don't go too heavy. By default here, this is a nice aircraft, only 170 tons. Try like this, and I'm looking forward to see your video, by the way. Update load, and we'll be ready to fly. So let's go into the simulator in the cockpit. And FSiPanel is already doing the job, so let's see what's happening there. Okay, so 3000 feet, you can see. If we look in the nav display, we see SAM in front of us. So we said 9 miles plus 3, so we should be basically at 12 miles. We will check in a minute if that's correct. And the heading should be 358. So we have 358. Everything is good, and the aircraft will stabilize just now. So we will get the message on top that the aircraft is ready for your training. So now what we're gonna do from here, we're gonna prepare our approach. All right, so one thing about the PMDG, guys, is the FMC. I forgot to do it on ground. If you plan to fly out of Samos, the good thing to do is to set already the route page Samos as destination. Then you will be able to just pick up any departure arrival. Now, I didn't do it, so what I have to do is insert that now with a chance that it crashed to desktop. So this is a bug which is known, and that will be fixed by PMDG very soon. All right, so let's continue our tutorial. I will put Lima Golf Sierra Mike as origin and as well as destination. Activate, execute. Now I can put my approach. So what we are doing is a VORDME 09. If I look on the chart, this is what we are doing. So let's put that here. And if I go to the next page, I have my waypoint FD358. I put it on top, activate, execute. And now let's see if we created the waypoint correctly. So if I go into my page, you can see that we are nicely on track to FD358. We have 3 miles to the waypoint. That's exactly what we wanted, isn't it? And then we're gonna have our descent. So now we're gonna do a short visual approach. So this is gonna be very tricky, guys, on the 777. So don't judge me on this. I try this because of the guy that put that on the forum. So that's putting me at risk. If we don't manage, we'll just go around, okay? But we're gonna give it a try, and I look forward to see your video. Please try to do it. It's a big challenge because you have to turn very, very, very close to the runway here on downwind. And then if you go too far down on final, you're gonna hit the terrain as well. So it is a little bit complicated, but we like challenge, and this is why we have FSiPanel, isn't it? All right, so we are ready now. What I will do as well is make sure that in VNav cruise I have 3000. My speed, you see 219 is good enough for me. I don't need to maintain 250, so we'll change it to 219. And what else I could do on the FMC? Yes, what I could do as a reference is put the VOR, Sierra Alpha Mike, and I could put 2 miles radius, which is a good informations not to go too close to the runway when you go on downwind, otherwise you will overshoot when you turn final. All right, so we are ready to go. Let's see what we can do, guys. Remember that I'm on my laptop. It might be lagging a little bit, but let's give it a try and see what happens. Okay, so I take control. Here we go. So normally at this point, we could descend to circling altitude, which is 2,500. So I will prepare 2,500 there. Here we go. And we are waiting for Fox Delta 358, which is 9 mile inbound Sierra Alpha Mike, where we will start our descent. As well, I forgot, I could put the VOR as backup, but we are already visual. So there is no real need. Basically, we are using the LNAV now to help us. So LNAV should be engaged, of course. Sorry about that. So now you can see LNAV is captured. I'm not going to use VNav because the descent is straightforward. So we are going to FD 358. Here we are, and we are 9 miles. This is exactly what we want. So I can descend now to 2,500. As we are visual, okay, we can descend now to my pattern altitude. So a good altitude is about 1,500 feet AGL for such an aircraft. So let's put 1,500. And we will start to slow down. So let's go flaps 1. Bug 1. And we will try to turn on final at 2 miles. And now that I'm here, I will select the heading and I will program something quick. I will show you that here. If I go to arrival, I'll choose runway 09, a 2 miles final. Okay, why she doesn't want it? Okay, fine. So we're not gonna use it. Normally she should take it. I don't know why she doesn't do it. Maybe VFR approach, that's it. Okay, 2 miles extension with a 3 degrees. Okay, all right, we're not gonna use it. This is something that should work. I tried it many times and it worked. I don't know why here she doesn't want. She wants to make my life complicated on holiday. All right. Let's do it without it. Let's go flaps 5, reduce our speed, 1,500. We see that we are getting close to the 2 miles. So we should turn on a heading 270 for a right-hand downwind. So let's continue to slow down. We can go now to flaps 15. Runways in sight. This is why I was allowed to leave 2,500. Alt acquired, okay, fine. So we go now to 1,000 feet AGL. 1,000. I have my mouse is not a good mouse as well, guys. I'm sorry about it. And let's go flaps 20. Entering in the 2 miles, sorry. So we turn left now on heading 270. And you will see the terrain will become a problem. So what I will do here as well, I will this turn off the terrain warning. Voila. Now we should have a quiet cockpit, but it's our responsibility to fly this airplane to the ground. So the speed looks good. We're about 1,000. So I want to be at 2 miles. We should be about 700. So this nice circle that we have, if I line up my aircraft on final here, I should be around 800 feet AGL if I want to be on ground, to be on a nice profile. So you see the terrain in front, not very nice. So now we will go gear down, arm the speed brake, and we should be ready to take manual control anytime soon. My VRF, we go flaps 30. A bit early on this, and now autopilot comes off, and now we need to turn. All right. So when we turn here, 30 degrees, I will turn the flight director off because I'm not flying my flight director anymore. And you can see now that with this approach, I'm very close to the terrain. So we have to be careful on two things. Your bank angle when you're turning, your rate of descent, your terrain warning. So here, it's very close to the terrain. It's a very special approach. I'll give it a try now live with you. Watch out my bank. We might overshoot a little bit. Altitude, we said we should be around 700 at the circle, so I'm a bit low. 30 degrees bank, and we are coming on final. But here's my runway, a little overshoot. As you see, I was too close to the runway. 2 miles is a nice distance. So now let's see if we can anticipate the turn here on final. Altitude seems correct for me, and we are going down. Another thing, guys, I do not have the trim, unfortunately, on this joystick that I have here. So it makes life a little bit more complicated, but we will manage something. Turning final here, anticipate, rate of descent as well. This runway is not on the database, so I think sometimes you will not get, you will get terrain warning. So now we watch out about our rate of descent, not more than 1,000 feet on short final, and we see if we can make it. All right, now this doesn't look very nice. Okay, so this will be a go around, guys. So let's go around. Go around. Flaps 20. Positive rate. Gear up. And we'll go around. Okay, guys. So this was, let me pause the sim. This was to show you these possibilities now of the pilot waypoint. You see, this approach is not easy at all, especially with such an airplane. I failed it. I went to final. I got the sink rate, and I was a bit high. And on turning base, I was very close to the terrain, around 500 feet. This is not comfortable. So I'm looking forward to see if one of you or some of you can do the same video and land successfully. I will be very pleased to see it on YouTube with you. So let me show you one more thing now before I let you try it yourself. We saved a waypoint, this one, to export. So to import it, very easy. You drag and drop it, and you get wayport imported successfully. So now if I go to FSiPanel, I select the fix, select waypoint, I will have the 2 waypoints. Of course, this is the one we created, and this is the one we just imported. So if I want to repeat the same exact approach, I click right there. I put my 3 miles, and I will validate and move aircraft. We are back on the aircraft. And you see I was in the middle of a go around. FSiPanel is taking care of everything, so I don't touch anything as always. And I will get the control of the aircraft in less than 15 seconds at 3,000 feet. Gear up, flaps up, 3 miles, radial 358. Another thing that we could have done is save a snapshot. I didn't think about it, but if I had programmed everything, would have been a better thing to save the snapshot, and then my FMC will also be programmed. That's it. That's all for today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed that video, and I'm really looking forward to see you trying this approach. I will try again, but it looks to me very complicated. If we look at the chart once more, you see that, let me zoom a little bit. You see that when we are coming on the 358 here, don't go too close when you turn, otherwise you're going to do exactly what I did. You're going to overshoot it. If you go too far away, which is nice for such an aircraft, you're going to have terrain warning and you're going to be very low here. So we need to find the right distance. I would say probably around 2 miles. Then turn final and have a constant descent. Not easy at all, but it's challenging. So who is taking the challenge? Please go ahead and post your results. The first one that makes it successful will get 5 stars. Thank you very much, guys, for following that video. As always, stay safe on this pandemic situation, and I look forward to see you again for another video. Thank you, guys. See you next time.